Today on the Dig podcast, I am speaking to Sharon Keegan, who is the founder of Peachylean. Sharon secured investment from 3 dragons on BBC Dragon's Den. She talks all about that on the podcast, how her experiences in life, her being diagnosed with postnatal depression, helped encourage her and inspire her to get a community around her that supports you. Her brand grew, and now she's here today to give us all the tips and tricks on how we can stand out online as a business community and grow our own community of people who in turn support us when we launch our products, and ultimately we get sales as well. So it's a fantastic jam-packed podcast and I can't wait for you to listen. Welcome to the Dig podcast. I am your host, Caroline O'Neill, and I love to discuss all things online marketing, managing money, collaborations, making that killer pitch and developing that product that will make millions, as well as so many other topics that will inspire you in your business. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Dig podcast. It's my absolute privilege to speak to thousands of you each week. Remember, I love to know when you've listened, so screenshot the episode and post on social, tagging me on Dig for Success and Dig Mama, and I will reshare with my audience. I'd also love if you could leave a review for the Dig podcast on whatever your favourite platform is, Apple, Spotify or YouTube. I love to see all your reviews. Sharon, thank you so much for coming to the Dig podcast.
Do you know, you're giving me shivers. You're giving me real excitement there when you talk about it, because it brings me right back to the moment. And it was such an exciting time. Like, it was, and you know, I think it was April of 2021, and I know the new series is starting. It's really like hard to watch the new series because I want to be there again. Do you know?
So tell us about that. So you're here today, and you know it's all happened in the past year and a half. But how did it start at the start? Because some people might know your journey. I've been doing all my research and all of that, so I know. But tell us how that came to be, where you were standing there in front of those dragons.
Oh, so it's a bit of a mad story. So I was running a business for a company called Pie Minister. It's a UK company. It's a premium pie brand. Actually, driving up here today, it was so nostalgic because I used to sell a lot of product in Belfast. But I was running their business here in Ireland for, it's about 8 years, and I fell pregnant at 33, and it took a long time to get pregnant, so I was really happy to be pregnant. But when I fell pregnant, the business had come to this kind of standstill where the sterling had rose to an all-time high, and to import product into Ireland, it was really, really difficult. So we lost a lot of margin nearly within, I think it was a couple of days. We had 16 staff, and we had to pull the staff and actually pull the business back into the UK. So we actually, not like I kind of lost my job, but I was very, very friendly with the founders and everything else. But that left me with no job, pregnant, and this huge like gap or hole in my life. I didn't know what to do because I suppose a lot of my ego was built up in this, like being a businesswoman. Do you know, I was a businesswoman for so long. And then I had Liam, and I was at home with a baby. And I just couldn't comprehend, like, oh, is this my life now? Is this what I do every single day? Like, I loved working. I loved being like a boss, and I loved the excitement of business. And I ended up falling really ill with postnatal depression. And I was diagnosed 9 months into my, my new, like, motherhood stage. I didn't know I was depressed. I just thought that this is the way every new mother felt. So I was diagnosed with the postnatal depression, and I didn't want to go on the medication. Not saying that that's not for everybody. I just personally tried the medication and didn't enjoy it at all. And to pull me out of, say, the darkness, I found the gym. Like, I was 5 stone up. I was like eating for 5 children. I thought that being pregnant was the best thing in the world because, you know, coffee slices were my best friend and like gallons of milk. And to put on a lot of weight. So the gym, I really kind of pulled me out of that, you know, mindset, negative kind of thinking. So to pull me out of the dark place, I found my solace, you know, my happy place was in the gym. And I, first of all, couldn't find activewear that would fit my postnatal body shape. So what I'm talking about here, I'm sure your listeners understand, the mum tum, the jelly belly, the shifted pelvis, wider hip. I used to wear Spanx underneath these, like, you know, premium leggings. I won't say the brand, but they were like, the leggings were see-through. So I was wearing Spanx underneath them so that I'd feel kind of supported, especially in the tummy, like with the jiggle. So I couldn't find these kind of leggings. So I just said, right, I'm designing this legging. It's going to be like shapewear. It's going to fit me like shapewear, and it's going to hold me in all the right places, but it'll be comfortable enough that I can wear it to the gym. And that's where it started. That's where Peachylean started. And it was just an idea. I went off. I'm not a designer, having a clue about design. Just went to, found a manufacturers that would sit with me and like allow me to draw what I wanted, feel the fabrics. They sent me a couple of samples, and literally that's where it began. So we had one sample, and like we were able to sell, I think, 224 units to women in my gym, and I didn't have a product at all. So I kind of knew, right, this is something. We're onto something here. That's it.
But that's not it. That's, I mean, like I'm sitting here now in the Peachylean gym gear, which I feel so privileged to be wearing when I'm sitting here talking to Sharon today. But it is everything you said. Like, it's great for comfort and, feel like I could work out, but it still feels stylish and all the things that you're talking about and hold you in the right places. But, to think of something like that, but to actually bring it to the market are two different things. So did you meet many challenges in trying to do that? Like, how did you get it to turn into an actual brand?
No, it's never easy.
I know the answer to that question before I even ask it, but I mean, tell us a wee bit about that journey.
It's funny because, like I appreciate when people are honest about how things, how things start, and it's not easy, especially, and I'm going to be really, really straight up and honest about this, especially being a woman, because we have the responsibilities of being mothers as well. And I have, I had at the time a very young son. I then fell pregnant again, and I was just after being accepted into this course called the DCU Female High Flyers Program. It was run by Ryanair and DCU. Now, it was a real, it was a difficult program to get into. So when I got in, I had this mindset that I was going to get kicked out because I was pregnant. Do you know, back in the day, because the girls would go missing in school or someone would be pregnant and it was nearly a negative thing that they just go missing. So I just had this mindset that I was going to go
missing from the course.
Yeah. So I was devastated. I remember the first day and I felt really ill, and I was like, I was really disappointed that I was pregnant, even though I really wanted, I wanted to have a family. So that was just a mindset thing, and it was definitely a generational thing. And I never forget the empowering woman on the course saying to me, I said to her, look, I'm really sorry, just let you know, like, I'm pregnant. Like, I was going to the headmaster in school.
Doing your confession.
And she said, yeah, that's brilliant. Congratulations. And I was like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah, this is the most empowering thing we could ever have as a female running a business, while she's pregnant. Sure, aren't you going to empower so many other women to do the same? So that was all I needed. It was just that belief, I know I'm getting
Who was that woman? Are you allowed to say who she was?
Yeah, her name's Niamh Ryan.
Niamh,
and I'm so fond of her. Yeah, she was heading up the DCU Female High Flyers, and she's just incredibly empowering and supportive woman. So she allowed me to not only believe in myself, but to carry on regardless. And I've obviously great support with my other half as well. We never got married, but let's say he's my partner in crime.
Yes.
So he supported me through. And that was the most difficult thing. Like, I think when you don't believe in yourself, it's very easy just to give up, isn't it? Just to let go of your dreams, your potential, your aspirations in life. And I think that little bit of belief just powered me on. And I always had these visions, like, I produced something that I personally needed, and I connected with women that also needed that. So if I needed it, I knew other women needed it. But I also needed connection in a community, similar, we have all created in some sense a connection with other women, and we're just confident enough to tell our story. So I needed support because I had been, struggling with my confidence. I needed I needed support with like the postnatal depression. And I just started telling the truth. So online, I would just get on and say, look, I'm not feeling great. Like, this is how I feel. Does anyone know about this? And that's where it blew up, because, like, if we're really honest, we all struggle with our confidence, no matter how much we put ourselves out there to be what we are to everyday life. We all have an inner critic. We all struggle with that voice inside, the imposter who tells us we can't, and like, we can very easily believe them and never do anything in life, or we can battle through and just, get your kind of tribe around you and all just really, encourage each other. And that's really where it started, was just being honest, telling women, or not telling women, asking women, did they feel the same? And they did. And then that was it. It just exploded. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Because I just recently spoke to someone on the podcast. She designed Baba Kush. I don't know if you know what Baba Kush is.
I
The
do.
cushion. So
Yeah.
Kerry was on the podcast and she said that people, continually throughout her production journey of getting the product to market told her it was no good and it would never work. And, it's just exactly what you said there. Sometimes you need the encouragement and the community around you to say, you can do this. And once she heard that a few more times from her family and her friends, there she is sitting with a product that's sold worldwide now for millions.
And it's a brand,
I know. So listen to you say that. It just reinforces everything that we hear all the time from inspirational entrepreneurs. So it's amazing. And that girl that said that to you, like she actually has made your journey now. She's helped you go on that journey.
Yeah, she just gave me the fire that I needed, but also in a great story and similar to that girl. I went to a mentor in the industry to ask for help before I got accepted into that program.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to go. So he told me at the time that it was only women's leggings, and I would never be taken seriously. And I always say, because my friend, who's an amazing entrepreneur, coined the phrase, and it sits on my desk in pink, and it says only women's, WIMMNS, women's leggings, because that's what he said to me. It'll never work. And I remember like hearing him say it, but just like being in and out of my body, looking at the situation and thinking, I will bloody show you. I'm going to show you. Because it's not just women's leggings. It's so much more than spandex and nylon. It's like a community. It's a tribe. It's a movement. It's a feeling. It's nearly an education. Yeah, you're educating women to just be okay with being themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Wonder, does he see you now?
He does, because I tag him in everything.
So if you tag him and everything, okay, it's not important for us to know, but I mean, I'll be able to research that one. But, people sometimes don't realise their words can tear you down. Like if you weren't I know you were battling through your mental health as well, but deep down you're very strong, I can tell, independent woman. But someone else who had the idea that didn't have that confidence just put their idea to bed because someone spoke to them like that.
Yeah.
So, words are so powerful. So you look at all them time, oh my God, that's amazing. We've only started. So, so that's how, the brand came to be. So tell us how Dragon's Den then, how that, how you got to be in front of those guys.
So, growing up, I live in a house with entrepreneurial people. So my dad was always really entrepreneurial. My mum ran her own business. My brothers were all entrepreneurs. And every Sunday religiously we'd watch the Dragon's Den. And it was always the BBC Dragon's Den, like the main deal. And obviously Peter and Deborah, we loved them, right? So, but every Sunday it was kind of a family thing. And when I had obviously ran a couple of businesses, and I always said, I'd love to pitch on the Dragon's Den. So this kind of opportunity came about where we were in one of the courses and they were like, you have to really put yourselves out there. You have to pitch for investment and all these different ideas. And I remember speaking to another business female founder, Aileen Cox. She runs like a baby-led feeding business. And I had said to her, why don't you go on the Dragon's Den? Because she was looking for investment to build a frozen food product, which she successfully did and sold Dunn's and all these different places. So she's amazing as well. But she's like, I don't know. I don't think I could do that. And she says, well, why don't you? And I said, well, I tell you what, I'll apply if you apply. So that's what we did. We both applied. And we forgot about it because this is with things like this, it's a long process. So we applied in August 2019. And in January 2020, I got a phone call. I was sitting in McDonald's. My bad. With my, at the time, I think he was 4-year-old or whatever. And we were sitting at McDonald's. I got a phone call, and I obviously answered. It was a 44 number, and didn't even think of who it was going to be. Anyway, it's the producer of the Dragon's Den. I nearly died on the phone. You can only imagine. And I was like, oh my God. But I kind of knew, literally, it took a good, I think, year before of the whole process of, testing and everything else. But I knew literally the minute she rang, I was like, I'm going to get onto that show. I had a really good feeling about it. So that was 2020. I think it was Christmas or something. I think it was the January of 2021. Like they do so much due diligence and background on the business. And then, what are we in now? So it's 21. No, so it's 2020, before pre-pandemic. So it would have been January that we did the test.
Pandemic was March.
Yeah. And then we had a loss in my family. So my brother Alan is 35. He passed away on the 25th of March. And the producer rang me like in the midst of that. And I just couldn't even speak to her. It was just obviously, you can imagine, devastating. We had just gone into lockdown. And she had asked me would I be interested in doing the show. And I just said no, right now. I'm really sorry, but no, like I'm really just grieving. So that was that. And then my dad actually was the man who talked me into doing the show. He said, look, Sharon, you know, like nobody wants to go on a show when you're in the depths of grief. But he said, like, do it for him. Maybe he gave you the opportunity. And I really do think that maybe he made it happen or in some way. Because literally the day before he died, we were talking about it, and he says, you're going to get that. You're definitely going to get that. And then anyway, he passed away. So I do feel like it was a bit of a kind of sign from him. And Dad said, just do it, like, you know. So I did it. And it was really, really tough to even walk through the doors, I'll be honest, because we were, and the BBC at the time, because it was really, really COVID times. Yeah. And we had to like go over in a bubble. Everything was bubble this and bubble that. They weren't letting anyone into the studio, but they let Dad come because one, he's a big, huge fan. And two, they knew the situation. And I just said, look, I'm really going to need a bit of support, even just to be there. So that was that. And then like, it's mad because you think walking through the doors that you're going to be absolutely terrified because you're going to meet the dragons. These are people that I like looked up to my whole life, you know. And I walked in and there's this like sense of complete and utter calm and confidence. And I just felt like, this is it. Like I have it. Like I'm going to do, like I'm well able for this. And I'm like usually a nervous Nelly, you know. But I felt like my brother was literally there with me on the day. I felt like he was just calming me, keeping me. It was just such a presence. It's very hard to describe it unless you've really lost somebody very close to you and you understand them feelings. But he just kept me calm, and yeah, it was just phenomenal what happened in the end.
So I just watched it there at the end of last week when I was preparing for you coming on the podcast, and well, when I'm sitting here with you now, I know what they felt that in the, you know, I know it's hard for someone to praise you when you're sitting there, but that endearing, charismatic kind of suck it in personality that you have, and that's what makes a brand too, isn't it? Like it's the person nearly that has developed it and that ethos behind it, but they seemed so warm to you straight away. I could see it in all their eyes when it flicked across them. And then when he said, like, Peter Jones is a hard nut to crack. Like,
I know.
And he was
lovely.
He was lovely. He's lovely. I like Peter, you know. It's
like
Peter.
Lovely. He's very handsome. He's very handsome.
He's nice. But so he said, he talked about constructively, like nobody tore you down at all. But I mean, let's talk about that branding thing he talked about, because I do all the marketing and working with businesses. I was like, oh, let's hear what he's saying about this. And you seem to be aware of what he was talking about. So tell people who haven't seen that video. Yeah. So Peachylean is the gear I'm wearing now and so much more, but you had it all on mannequins, isn't that right?
I did.
What happened?
So he had mentioned that, you know, it's not very Peachylean. Like most brands would have a tree stripe or a colour, you know, a colour mix, and they would be defined as that. So you'd look at the product and you'd say, oh, that's a so-and-so or that's a so-and-so. And I completely agreed with him, because obviously we had a bit of time to work on the brand before we went into the Dragon's Den. And we had completely rebranded the product, including with this, you know, new fabulous logo and colour palette and everything else. And this is business, you know, our samples and all of our new products did not arrive before the show.
Realize this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you see, this is the thing as well, like you see 7 minutes of the pitch and you see the highlighted bits, but you don't see the whole, like I was in there for an hour and a half.
I didn't know that.
And I was wearing the most horrendous shoes as well.
I didn't even notice.
Oh, my feet. I thought like, oh, geez, these are amazing. Like yellow stilettos with this gorgeous pink heel that went with the blue dress and the red hair. And I was like, right, I'll make an impression. Oh, my feet after, like I left, I like ran out of the lift and I was like, oh my God, get them off. I had the flip-flops, like the producers putting the flip-flops on. But no.
So would you have, when he said that to you, did you in real life answer back and say, well, our samples haven't arrived?
I did. Right. And they were really cool about that. I just said, look, this is the truth. Like they just didn't arrive, because Deborah actually pointed out, and Deborah is very good with the branding. She said, Sharon, why do you have one logo on the box and the second logo on the garment? Because you see, we'd rebranded. So we had the boxes ready, of course. We had the leaflets and
Which
all
is what's down there.
So we had
Okay.
all of kind of, this on the stuff that we could have ready, but on the garments, they just weren't ready. So
Okay.
So she noticed that, and I was able to explain, we have to, it just didn't arrive. So they were and some of the feedback they gave was amazing. Like, and I completely, respect all of them. In a sense, like when Peter said that, I said, no, he's right. Of course, you're right. There is nothing there on these garments that I can say is very Peachylean, except for, which I didn't say, and I always say in hindsight I should have, we have a double layered stitching on the back, and it's a heart.
On the bum part,
on the bum,
isn't it? Yes.
yeah, and it's double layered, so basically nothing can be seen outside. And what it does is it does actually lift the bum, but it also protects the woman's modesty. Okay,
Yes.
Double layered waistband, and on our leggings, it's like you can see leggings everywhere. Leggings are sold everywhere. It's definitely not reinventing the wheel here.
Yes.
But for our leggings, you'll know a Peachylean legging because it has a heart on the bum. So I didn't say that in the pitch, and it's always in hindsight that you'd love to say some things like that. Say, oh, well, actually, we have the heart and the arse, but sure, look.
A heart in the
Yeah.
arse. You should have said that to Peter. The Dig podcast is all about educating my listeners, but it's so important to me that it is also a place to gain exposure. Each week, we open up the podcast to brands and business owners to pitch to you guys.
My name is Louise Conn, business owner of Benue Getaways. I am delighted to sponsor Series 4 of the Dig podcast and be featured as one of Caroline's guests. Benue Getaways is a luxury resort based on the Causeway Coast, walking distance from Benue Beach. It has spectacular views of Benevina Mountain and the hills of Donegal. We are open all year round for that perfect beachside escape. The resort consists of 6 unique luxury glamping pods and 2 self-catering holiday homes. 4 of our pods come in their very own private hot tubs. All of our pods have personal fire pits, and our guests can enjoy the amazing chill and grill barbecue hut. Take advantage of getting the family together or even a group of friends and book an unforgettable stay. Our resort is in the heart of Benue, close to an amazing activities centre, mini golf, surf school, walking distance from a bar and restaurant. Benue Getaways is a great base for exploring the north coast and visiting the top tourist attractions such as Mussenden Temple, Giant's Causeway and many more. Just an hour's drive from us is both Belfast and Derry/Londonderry, and we are only 5 minutes away from the Lochfoyle ferry, the gateway to Inishowen. After a long hard day exploring, pop open a Prosecco and gather round the fire pit, or soak in your very own private hot tub. Benue Getaways can cater for all occasions, including birthdays, anniversaries, hen parties and many more. Get in touch and create your very own tailor-made experience, which can make memories that last a lifetime. Start your giant adventure at Benue Getaways. Find us on all the socials at Benue Getaways or on our website www.benugetaways.co.uk.
A heart, yours.
Oh, so I was watching him, then I was like, he's not gonna. And then he said, so he was out. But I could still see the sparkle in everyone else's eyes. And whenever they said, whenever Touker and Sara and Tej all invested, I think the whole country, I was only watching it the other night, I was like, yes. So I was rooting on for you when it had already happened. But so you've 3 dragons now supporting you. What does that look like to have 3 dragons? How does that roll out? Like, what way are they helping? And, what advice have you gotten from them that you could maybe... So, Sharon, this is a business podcast, so everybody is listening are all small businesses, medium-sized businesses, people who have an idea for a business that get inspired by this. So I want to know, what are they telling you? What can you tell us?
Well, look, like the dragons, it was obviously the dream come true. We called it the dream team, and it was such an amazing event for in the history of our company. But what I have learned, and they won't mind me saying this, is you are responsible for everything that happens in your business. So we all look up to these, and don't get me wrong, they've opened some doors and given great advice. But really and respectfully, everything is down to you and your team, do you know? So like, they're not going to run your business for you. You have to run your business. They might give you advice, but you have to go and implement it and activate it and execute it, So I think what I've learned is there's no quick fixes. There's no easy anything. Everything has to be planned. Everything has to be executed by you and the team. And that really, really injects into that self-belief part, you know, like we all want the door to be opened, but actually we have to open the door ourselves. And you have to make sure that if there's something that you want to happen, that you make it happen, because nobody else is going to make it happen for you. So that's the biggest lesson actually with working with the Dragons. We pitched to the Dragons in September of 2020, and then the show aired in April 2021. So the pitch that we pitched and the numbers that we pitched, we completely smashed the numbers, but then the business that they had tried to invest in was completely different to the business that we say made a deal on, right? Mm-hmm. So we had to go back and ask for a different deal, and because to put it into context, and if this business people are listening, they valued our business at 300,000 or something like that, and sure we had surpassed that in sales without their help. Do you know what I mean? Yes. And no offense, like they didn't, you know. But then by the middle of the following year, we had done the whole of last year's turnover before even the Dragon's Den aired. So we could never say that it was nothing to do with any of that success. Do you know what I mean? So we had to be very smart, and it was such a hard decision. But we said we had to walk away from that deal.
Okay.
Which we did, and then we went and put another deal on the table, and it was like advisory and opening doors for different things. So we went over to meet them then in London, and that was a different story. So yeah, so we kind of got best of both worlds. We didn't have to give 30% of the company away. We were able to work with them on, you know, different accounts like M&S and Next and different things that we might, you know, pursue this year. Sara has been incredibly encouraging and helpful, and like she is in her own right becoming this huge superstar. I don't know if you've seen her on Strictly Come Dancing.
No, I haven't seen her on Strictly.
Yeah, well, she's like amazing, absolutely amazing. So
I could see her get so excited about the brand, and
she was definitely the one we wanted. Like we went in looking for her.
Okay.
And to this day she knows this, because we've spoken many times. But I've said, like, we always just wanted you, and she knows that. Like, yes. There's no, you know. She's kind of the Peachylean woman, you know, and her confidence and what she's built in her community, and, you know, so we might be doing a bit with her for QVC in the coming months or years, maybe. We'll see, with Q4 of this year. Yes. That's what we're planning.
Oh my God, so loads of plans, and like you keep talking about community right through from the start of the conversation, and even talking about other people's community, but the community that you have built is why the brand's so successful, as you said. There's businesses listening now, and they're like, I want a community. How do I build it? It's not easy. Sure, it's not. No. It takes hard work. But talk to us a wee bit about what that's meant for your business and brand.
Yeah. So I think it's so funny because we're so aligned. I was on the way up here talking to women about building community in their businesses. So community is your core customer, but it's about why they bought your product. That's the community, and that's what community is within your brand. So I was speaking to a guy recently who had a computer business, right, an IT business, and he said, like, but how do I build community? Like, I'm an IT business. And I said, well, tell me about your best customer. So he told me a story about this customer who had this computer, and she threw it into the sea because she thought everybody was watching her on the computer. It turned out to be a bug on her computer. And I said, see that? I said, that's amazing. So what you do is you tell stories to your other IT customers about bugs or issues, or even that story about like the woman who threw her computer into the sea. That connects people on a level of interest that they want to talk about. You know, and that's in a sense a community. So in Peachylean community, what I connected on was confidence and inner critic, and, you know, the imposter syndrome, because that was something that I struggled with myself. And everyone used to say, oh, you're so confident, and like, how do you struggle? And what I identified is everybody struggles. Even, you know, obviously we're women, but men even more so. So we just started teaching about that. Now, obviously I'm not, you know, I can speak from my own experience, but we would ask like psychologists to come in and do maybe talks and stuff like that. So we just built it on that. And then, you know, gathering together, like being in the same place, having a drink with someone, having a cup of tea with someone, actually caring about that person, like asking them, you know, if their mother died, how are you, like, how you doing, and stuff like that. So I think it's just creating like friends with the people who buy your product.
But I think what you said at the start is the definition, like think of who your core customer is, think of their story and why you connect. I think some people have struggled just to know what a community is, but that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Who's your key customer? Why do you connect? Build on that.
Exactly.
And start to let it all ripple effect out.
Yeah, because there's so many different people in this world that have different interests and likes and different, you know, and like we're obviously living digitally now in this digital world, and like not everyone likes, say for instance, spandex, nylon, fitness. We've created a niche in the fitness industry actually, because why Peachylean is different is that we don't advertise the 6-pack abs. We don't advertise the marathon, the lifting the 140 kilos. We advertise the girl who gets out in the morning to walk her kid to school and who does the bloody shopping and goes off and does the garage stuff for the car and then goes off and buys flowers for her friend. That's our champion. And there's more of them in the world than there is of the 6-pack abs. And I suppose what we're trying to identify is that we all struggle, but we all move our bodies, and we don't have to identify with having abs or looking a certain lean aesthetic to be fit. Do you know what I mean? And to be happy and to be healthy in your mind. It's more about the connection between the mind and the body and the wellness aspect as well. So I think that's just a little bit how we've connected with our community. And for anyone here, even with small businesses, you could own a restaurant, and you might identify that the people in the restaurant that just buy, say for instance, the casserole or something like that, that they love the certain wine with the casserole, that you start a community that have, you know, a wine night with casserole. I don't know what it is, but you can, in any business, you can start community. And it's just about looking at the core customer, seeing what it is the connection is with the brand or why they keep coming back, and then building the story around it. Tell us about your community. What was your connection with your community?
So my community is the business community, the community that's not afraid to say, I haven't a clue how to do that, please help me. And that's what I started to say out loud on social, and people started to gather around me to say, I don't know either, please tell me. And I got great encouragement to keep saying that out loud, and it encouraged people to come out of the woodwork to say, I haven't a notion what they were talking about, but you actually asked them and they explained it, and now I know. And then it just grew. And so my community is Dig for Success, Sharon, for if you don't know. So this is, you're on the Dig podcast, but it all started, you know, me and you'll get talking after this, where I had a retail shop, and it was called Dig Children's Wear, and Dig was my brand, because my dad helped me get started and he drove a digger, and that's where it all started. But then it grew to Dig for Success, which is the business community, because within my shop, I hadn't a clue about e-commerce, about this online world I was through into. Even though I loved clothing, I didn't know how to sell it online. So I started to say, I haven't the notion how to do that. And the business community seemed to be inspired by that honesty, because there's a lot of people pretend.
Absolutely.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
And people were like, I can't believe she said that. Yeah. I was like, I don't know.
But it's how refreshing is it when someone is honest? And that's probably why people flock to you as well, because you only learn from making mistakes. We all have to make, you know, mistakes and fail. How the hell would you know? Exactly.
You know, how would you know until somebody tells you? Exactly. That's what I always say. So then this podcast is absolutely not about me, but
no, but I'm really interested. I really want to know.
So then the Dig podcast is now getting people like you on that aren't afraid to give us your knowledge. Mm-hmm. And like, there will be someone listening to you today that goes away and thinks about who are their community. Yeah. And how am I going to build this? And you could actually have shaped their business to be better. So that's what I want from the Dig podcast. And that is what is happening. Amazing. And when I'm listening to you now, I'm like, gee, I need to start maybe getting my community together again. We haven't got together in a while since lockdown. So you're inspiring me listening to that. So that's who my community is.
Amazing.
So
and it's refreshing. Like you're teaching, you're empowering other people to believe in themselves, to not be afraid to say, I don't know. Do you know? And not only that though, like they obviously follow you because you have, you know, that there's just something special. Do you know, I can see it as well. You know,
what do we like? We should be like heading away out after this.
We're going for a glass of wine.
But so I had a branding expert. It was on the podcast actually recently, called Aisling Bremner, and she talked about branding and how when you go down into the deep roots of your brand, it's about your core customer. It's all about what you've just said, but she was looking at it more from a technical point of view. And she said, once you know your customer, you know what they want to see and hear, and it helps you build the brand. So it's all connected, isn't it? But it's like you have to look at the whole package as well if you're looking to sell the clothes ultimately too. Yeah. So when you say you built the community and you connected with them, how did you reach them?
So we were, let me think how we done that. Well, it was Instagram, and I didn't have a clue. Now, here's honesty for you, right? Because I hadn't a notion about how to use Instagram. And this girl, Leona, who's a cousin, my other half's cousin's wife, right, was sitting at my kitchen having a cup of tea. And she says, come here, I'll show you. It's this thing, Instagram. She says, put up a photograph there and see, can you, I don't know, get followers or whatever it was at the time, right? So I put up the photograph. Now, a good friend of mine had the most incredible bum. Now, I mean, she was the bum, like, the face of the brand. She was the bum of our brand for, like, I'd say the first 3 months. She's this gorgeous shape. And every time she put the leggings on, they were fab. But the biggest selling point to our leggings is that we do, say, size 6 to 26. So we always put the two sizes, the bigger girl and the smaller girl, into the leggings. And I think that's what happened. I think people were just liking the fact that it was like it wasn't just, how do I say, a fake shot, like a styled shot. It was a real shot in the back garden with two girls. Like, so they could actually see what their leg would look like or their bum would look like in a legging instead of a photoshopped version of it, Now we styled them lovely and everything, but they think they liked the reality of it. And yeah, I didn't know about followers or everything. Like, I'd go back on to be 100 followers, 200 followers, and then, like, all of a sudden there was like couple of thousand followers. I was like, this is actually working.
It's a good job with Instagram.
And then I think the barrier broke, and you probably went through this as well. It was when I started to speak on Instagram, or I would just tell the story, or I remember one day being in DCU and just putting a shout out to all the women who got up every day, got their kids to school, went to educate, went to work, whatever it is they done, to come home, to do it all again. And all they asked for kisses and cuddles. Like, and I said, I remember that just blew off, like it blew up, because it was like other women were like, yeah,
that's me.
I want to do that. Like, and I think that was it. It was just this refreshing honesty, and then connecting in with women that did need that something extra. Like, I don't relate to the six-pack abs. I never had them. I never probably will have them. I'm just going to have to give up on that dream. Do you know what I mean? So I just want something for them other women that, like me, that just don't, like, maybe aspire to be like that, but kind of know we're never going to get there. So we just want to be happy with what's here, do you know? So yeah, so Instagram was the portal, and then obviously website and digital, obviously selling through the website. Shopify, we use Shopify. It's an absolutely brilliant platform. I actually built the Shopify myself, and I am not a tech person.
Well, this is the thing. So a lot of business owners do build, like, I've built some sites for people, and they've built their own, and it is a deadly platform for the people that don't have the dough to invest in the thing and want to get in there. It is workable yourself, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, there's the Shopify experts and the website developers, and we need those guys when things start to shoot through the roof. But if there's someone out there and they have an idea and they want to get it and start to try to sell it with that little link on Instagram, which links to that basic Shopify site.
Yes, and it's free. So you can set up an Instagram. So you could have an idea tomorrow, okay? You could have one sample of that idea. To validate your idea, you could set up an Instagram page, put a few photographs up there. Like you said, set up a free Shopify website. And I do absolutely advise to do that, because you have to know your way around working it. It's simple. It's like a 5-year-old genuinely could start it, right? One product on the Shopify website with a landing page, and if you get 5 sales, you're in business.
That clearly spurs you on to get, and it's free for 7 days or maybe whatever, 2 weeks, and then you pay a very small fee, like $20 something.
Yeah. And
you can upgrade as your sales go through the roof. But and there's nothing like that feeling, isn't there? Not when you hear the ching. You're like, yes! And it's only one, but you're like, I'm going to make millions. And it's just that wee noise is enough, isn't it?
Yeah, when you're in bed.
I know. My husband would be like, is that another one? Is that another one?
Oh my God, we are literally from the same. My Sean would be in bed and we'd just about to turn out the light and you'd hear ching.
I know. He's like, making money in bed. It might only be £15.
Yeah, who cares?
No, but there is something about that online selling world that makes money when you sleep. It's the dream.
Yes.
But you put the hard graft in on social, and that's what I'm trying to encourage businesses to do. It's not easy. Social media isn't easy. It's hard, relentless. You need to be consistent. But when you do, you're lying in bed and you turn over and it goes to ching. You're like, that's because I put that story up today. That's because I put that post on social.
People are saying, and it's unbelievable. Sean would say to me now, obviously there's a lot of giving out as well because we have 2 young kids. And
I know.
Holy God, they'd be saying, geez, Sharon, your head's always in the phone. And you do have barriers and switch off at certain times. But he'd see it as well. So like sometimes he'd say, oh, just go on, do it. Because I'd put up something, we have a chat or whatever it is, and then ding, 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 ding. You know, like, because it's just, you don't have a shop. Okay, so we're living in this different world now, the metaverse and all. Don't get me started, but it's mental what's going to happen in the next few years. But we don't have the shop. So the dig, you know, the dig. Yeah, you don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So your shop is your digital face. It's you are the shop, and like your community, connecting in with the community, whatever it's a photograph, whatever it is, that's the shop. So that's how people walk by the shop, is when they see and they scroll up now, they say, oh, there it is. Oh yeah, I must get that now. Do you know? So you have to think about that if you're a small business. And I know people are terrified to put themselves forward as the face of the brand, but it's not about you. So stop thinking like that. It's not about you. It's about your customer and your core customer. And it's about the message that you're not, like, they need what you have and you are not telling them about it.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Like, imagine. I always say, Sharon, if you had a bricks and mortar, would you lock the door and not open it every day? Yeah. Well, then why would you think it's okay to not open your phone and talk to them?
I know.
But I think just businesses need to change the way they think. Now, what about the business owner that will never be able to speak on social? Thank God for influencers.
Yes.
Right?
Influencers, or someone on the team. Because there's always the youngsters coming up that are very much, you know, they just really want it. That's kind of like their ambition, or they're very good on camera, you know. But yeah, influencers, you have, like, obviously we're going to do a little collaboration together.
So Sharon and I, for anybody that's listening, connected before the podcast, and that's why when I was hearing her story, I was like, oh, I need you to come and be a guest. So obviously I work with brands and businesses to use my voice to tell about the brand, and we talked about Peachylean, and I'm wearing it today and it feels class, but we're going to use the influencer marketing model to tell my customers about your amazing community and what you do, and then they make their decisions about whether they want to buy. But so I'm excited about that. But yes, I think the business community gets scared. Like, you're very vocal, you're not afraid to talk, neither am I, but there is the people that will feel sick forever at the thought of doing that. So I always say, thank God there is other people on the team or influencer marketing to be able to get your voice out there, right?
Yeah,
it's a new world.
I read something last night, because we've got into this brand new way of selling, and I definitely want to share it because it's phenomenal, and I'll probably regret sharing because it'll go balubas, but I have to share because it's phenomenal, right? So this year we tested live selling. So Peachylean now has its own shopping channel. So you have QVC, which is HSN, which is huge in the US. And then we decided, okay, we're going to have Peachylean shopping channel, which is, we'd have you on and we'd talk about your business. And again, it's just selling. But the products come together and they're sold at a discounted price on the day with whoever you collaborate with. We made like 20,000 euros on the test, and it was only 20 minutes. It's the future.
And where's it aired?
On your website. So on your Shopify website. So I'll do another day on this.
Yes, we need another. Yeah, but no, this is another topic.
It's the future. I'm telling you. So basically, it's a new way of selling. And so if you're a small business and you're terrified of telling your story, you need to get someone within the business that's not afraid to tell the founding story. And the reason is, people genuinely want to know. Like, you're not doing them a disservice by being on there telling the story. You're not making them buy. You're not putting them into handcuffs and making them buy anything. They're not paying to be there. They want to be there. So if your story resonates with the consumer, and they decide to buy your product, that's a choice that they've made. But they haven't just made the choice, they've bought into the business because they've heard the story. They love it. Sometimes they connect with you on a whole different level. So it is the future. If you don't want to do it, that's absolutely fine, because I totally understand, people don't want to speak. But I would definitely say, find that person within the business, whoever it is, to be able to tell that story, because the future will be, front of house camera, you selling to your community through your live shopping channels. So I'll fill you in. To be continued. And we'll help your community about that. It's amazing. It's amazing.
My God. Yeah, that is. That's like this way of the world is going to go, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I have written here, can you give any words of wisdom to businesses who are trying to bring their brand to the next level but are struggling to get noticed online? So I guess we've touched on it there about bringing your voice. Is there anything else that you can think of?
Collaboration. So I think, look, in my market, like, I sell leggings, right? But I am in the most crowded market space there ever was. Like, everyone in Ireland is selling fitness wear now, and I have no problem with that, because I genuinely think that there's enough boobs, bums, tums in the world for everybody to make money, right? I have a little bit of a different look like outlook and for fitness. Like I just want people to move, especially for mental health. I connect in with the mental health side of things. So if your business is similar to someone else's business down the road, say you have a hairdresser's or a cafe or whatever it is, and you're trying to become bigger, think about how you can personalize your business that creates just something unique that people want to go to you. And like there's a little hairdresser down the road from me, and every time you walk in the door, she offers you a glass of champagne. But that's a USP for her. And like you just need to kind of dig into your business and say, okay, what is unique that I can offer my core community that will make people share my message and make people come to me? And it doesn't have to be like, I was trying to explain this to someone the other day. It doesn't have to be thousands and thousands of followers to scale your business. Like someone said to me today, oh, but she only has 110 followers. I was like, yeah, but she couldn't serve 110 followers in her shop. So 110 followers buying off her is better than her having a shop.
You're
so like,
right.
don't ever think like that,
I
you know? And what are you going to just offer that's a little bit different?
But yes, it's those wee points of difference, make you stand out, make people talk, get shareable content. It's just thinking outside the box, isn't it?
Yes.
And that's what's needed in today's world. Sharon, like, oh my God, definitely, you promise you're going to come back now, series 5.
100%.
Imagine what we're going to be able to talk
Yes.
about then, and we'll have Prosecco for you when you walk in. Where can people now follow the journey? Because people are going to want to see your product and find out about your community and connect. So how can they do that?
So obviously they can go onto the website www.peachylean.com and they can connect into our community through our Self-Love Club. That's the name of our community, is the Self-Love Club. A newsletter will pop up and they can just join, and they're in the community then, and they'll get all the emails and connections. We have an event on Valentine's Day. We call it Galentine's Day, which is the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day, in Avoca, where we're inviting people to come for breakfast, and it's called Groove Fit. So we're just dancing to music in the morning and having breakfast after. So we just kind of get together like that. But Instagram is where we're most vibrant and alive. So on Instagram, we're at Peachylean Official.
Wow, amazing. Oh my God, I'm so excited for everybody to join you. I'm excited for working with you too for the next wee while. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon, Sharon.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's such a pleasure. Thank you.
Remember, if you do listen to an episode, screenshot it and share it on social. Remember to tag me so that I see it and I can reshare on my platform. I love to see everyone tuning in each week. It has been an honour to be your host. I look forward to our next episode.